welcome everyone. Here we are in the Frankly Speaking video interview series on youth participation. Today we are talking with Andreas Hirsch, an officer and advisor on European youth policy, an amazing achiever and a person who is just well insightful in what's happening both locally and at European level. And I hope you will enjoy the talk. So to start from the beginning, Andreas, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's start with who is Andreas?
Hi, my name is Andreas Hirsch. I work in Germany at the national agency Jugend für Europa. I'm an advisor in European youth policy there. I've been working with the agency for about a year. And previously, like so many of us, I come from the youth work field. I started off many years back as a very enthusiastic young person trying to change the world or doing my little part to change the world, and have then stepped into my full-time professional role as a youth worker and directing a European youth organization that is active in 10 countries across Europe with a lot of volunteers, a lot of different projects going on. And yeah, this is how I started my journey with lots of projects that I did together with other young people on issues that we considered very important, that we wanted to push forward. And in the journey, starting from local initiatives or local projects, we became more Europeanized. We started to work together across different countries. And we also started to realize the importance of policy work and advocacy in promoting the topics that we are concerned about. And of course, it was very exciting back in the days when you first are part of a, let's say, United Nations conference on human rights or gender equality, and you get to have your say and you get to work with the powerful people in the room, putting in your policy recommendations and trying to influence things in this way. So this is how my experience in my previous work has really helped me see the importance of advocacy for young people, how they can be involved. I've gained a lot of positive and also challenging experiences, frustrating experiences sometimes when it comes to participation. But I think all of that has helped me to understand better now how it feels for a young person wanting to be involved politically, having their say, and hopefully taking that as an experience now in creating better conditions for young people to be able to participate. Young people have a right and should have a right to participate in society in all matters concerning to them and their futures. And these might be more topics than we immediately might think. It's not just about having a youth center or youth space. It is about generational justice. It is about the future of this planet. It is about a lot of social issues and social topics. And I think one would be surprised to see the level of depth of thought that many of those young people have around those political issues and topics. And so, of course, the more formal frame for that to happen is to have policies in place and structures and procedures that allow a formal way of youth participation. On the European level, of course, we have, for example, the EU Youth Dialogue, which is a wonderful instrument to mainstream and gather the voices of young people around certain topics and include them in policy making. But at the same time, I think there is still a way to go, and there is rooms for improvement in seeing how young people can also receive more of a feedback on the kind of input they have given. So certain structures need to be put in place where you can see that these are certain indicators that we set ourselves for achieving, for example, the European youth goals, and what are the measures that the actors on the different levels are taking to achieve those goals. So formal participation needs to have the adequate structures and procedures. That is a very important precondition for young people to exercise their rights for participation. But at the same time, I think participation also is something more informal, and that happens on a very personal level. It happens in the attitudes that a lot of us more senior people and older people in society have towards young people, in seeing them as citizens of today and not just of tomorrow, and taking them seriously and wanting to engage them and wanting to involve them in a conversation and follow up on their impulses and their ideas that they give. So I think it has a lot of different actors have a role to play here. It's of course politicians, but it's also the media, it's also academics who portray a youth image that makes all of us understand that young people are to be considered and are to be taken into public opinion. What is really important is to recognize the defining stage of life that youth is, and the kind of experiences that young people make in this age, of course also childhood, but also the age of adolescence and of youth, is very important for them also in their understanding of themselves as citizens and in being active citizens and critical citizens in society. And so young people experience and they can learn principles of democracy, of participation, of being active and having a stance on social topics, if they are given the opportunities to do so. And this needs to have appropriate spaces where young people can experience their agency, their power, their voice, raising their voice. And youth work can provide an amazing platform for that to happen. It can provide them a good space where they can learn how to participate, how to express their voice. And for this, the conditions that I mentioned before need to be provided. And those, in my opinion, are situations or spaces where the young people are in the lead of projects, where they are in the lead of identifying what are the issues that really stand out to them, that are of concern to them, that they are passionate about, and then receive the professional guidance and support in order to articulate constructive suggestions and make propositions towards policy measures as well. However, that really needs a very careful kind of mentoring approach and a safe space for young people to be nurtured and to kind of cultivate those qualities and those values of democratic participation. There are spaces, and I think there are also measures in place. For example, now we have the new participation strategy that was just released. That is also giving a clear framework for different actors in the youth work field to create those spaces for young people to be co-creators. So there are structures in place, and there is there's a growing awareness of the need for those kind of spaces to emerge. And at the same time, I think it's still, again, a space where there can be improvement and there can be growth. If you also look at the diversity of the different countries within Europe, so to speak, there is certainly different national realities and different cultures of youth work in place. And not in every place and in every country or in every situation, the same kind of freedom and the same support for critical approaches can be found. So while there is, I think, also a good broad European understanding on the European level, certainly in many countries also, and in many areas, these democratic spaces can be strengthened and can be made bigger so that young people can really feel more autonomy and more power. Biggest push that we are experiencing right now and that we're seeing is the Council resolution on the framework of establishing the European Youth Work Agenda and the European Youth Work Convention that is happening very soon. That is definitely going to give a boost to the entire youth work field, to have a stronger support, to have more recognition, to have more of a cohesion when it comes to working together, also the different actors between the European Union and the Council of Union. We really see like a very unique and historic move here that I find very, very inspiring and very hopeful to see that happening. So this is giving a great frame for youth work to develop itself further. And then, of course, it also depends on how, which direction is youth work taken and what are the areas of growth that we're going to see happening in the coming years. And there also the German presidency has brought in the council conclusion on fostering the democratic awareness and democratic engagement of young people. which is another policy text that is really kind of summarizing and including also some of the points I had raised before of recognizing the youth stage as a defining and very important stage of life, giving young people spaces where they can exercise and learn democratic competences and democratic values, and also to look at the pedagogy that is in place and that can be developed and developed further in order to support young people in their critical thinking, in their advocacy, in experiencing and expressing themselves as critical citizens. So I think there's a lot of impulses that have been given and that are being given. And then of course it will depend, as usual, on so many different actors to take it on and to take it further and to take the next steps together. I think all of us who are working in this field, in the youth work field or in the youth policy field, we do come with a certain sense of purpose and a certain sense of responsibility, probably with our experience of being a young person, being active in the field or working with young people directly. And sometimes what I also notice about myself is you become very absorbed also by the complex issues and the complex topics and all the different things that are needed for the professional development of that field. And what I find I need to remind myself time and again is how it felt like to be a young person and be burning on social issues, on topics that are really, really important to me, and maybe not having the proficiency and the professional ways of going about it and to expressing myself. But I think it is always important for us working for young people and to remember that these are the ultimate beneficiaries of our work, and we need to act in their interest and take them into consideration and have their voice heard also when we are designing the policy measures or the different things that we are coming up with, to always include young people and let them have their say and let them co-create together with us.